Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey, and today I am with Mr. Andrew Ronchetto, and we are going to be talking about mental health and healing and kind of breaking down with so much mental health talk in the past few years, with a lot of words becoming very popular, a lot of programs being launched. We're losing some meanings in some important aspects. We're hyper focusing on certain parts. And Mr. Ronchetto is here to help us look at the bigger picture, the other details, and make sure we're doing this properly. And Mr. Ronchetto, I want you to start with defining holistic wellness for us, because the word holistic healing, wellness has become a very big word in the past few years. And I think there's a lot of misunderstandings, misuse of it. And so I'd like you to share with us what that means for you and your business and the people you take care of.
No, absolutely. And first, thank you so much for having me on, Mr. Whiskey. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your listeners. For us at Beyond, we look at holistic wellness as all aspects of who you are as an individual. So we traditionally hear a lot of things about like the physical, the mental, the spiritual
Right.
side of it. And there's lots of apps out there and there's lots of intensity and focus in those areas. But we also see this lack of visibility sometimes, or even interrelationship of those items with things like relationships, economics, surroundings, where we live, what we're a part of community wise, our careers. I mean, it's a third of our
Right.
life, yet it doesn't play as a fundamental role. So for us, holistic wellness is really looking at all these aspects. And I think it's important that we think about them comprehensively and look at how we create, and we'll probably get into this, but make conscious decisions about where we place our energy and our focus, realizing
Right.
that we can't tackle them all at the same time. So
Right.
I think it's that being able to come out of the subconscious and go towards the conscious and making those decisions is a big part of helping us move forward as individuals and really being the best of ourselves.
And the last few guests I spoke with, we actually talked about burnout, and that's a huge thing because of social media, because of how fast everything is, the constant demand and this pressure to get everything done so instantly, to tackle so many projects at once, and to be recording all of it and posting all of it at the same time. A lot of people are stretching themselves thin. So I agree, it's very important to not try to tackle everything at once and to make a proper plan. And so, Mr. Ronchetto, how did you get this viewpoint where, we live in such a cluttered world, everything's all intermingled and things are being left out. So how did you discover this viewpoint where you said, hey, we got to look at this other stuff too? What brought about that revelation for you?
Well, the beauty of this is I think it's slightly different for everyone.
Right.
And for me and my co-founder, Stacy, it's totally different. But both of us came about it in a very similar way. Is about a year and a half ago, due to, I'll say, career and really pushing myself, like a lot of folks do, being able to handle a lot of stress over multiple years in consulting, that stress manifested itself, essentially, I would argue, into some herniated discs in my back. And I know for all those folks out there that have had that happen for any number of reasons, it's no fun. I was having another baby with my wife. I was not able to pick up our current daughter. So, all
Wow.
these things that are so important to your life just all of a sudden come into focus and clarity. And I was working with a fitness coach at the time and also bringing in a physical therapist. And very quickly, I started to feel like a traffic cop. Like, here I am, the person who's hurt, and nothing against them, their
Mm,
processes. I love these guys. I think they do awesome work. Heck, I still work with them today.
right.
But, the systems and the way we talk about things just put me in the center, the spot where I was constantly having to navigate through everything myself. And that was
Mm,
frustrating. It was my recovery journey, so to say, to
right.
use that term. And I spent more time just trying to figure out who said what, why, when,
Mm,
how do we translate one thing to another? And I think that for me was the fundamental basis of looking to get beyond the platform off the ground is, our journeys in life are ours. They're individual, not to be selfish, but we got to focus on ourselves a little here, so that we
right. Of course.
focus on family and everybody around you. But when we don't have technology that helps with that, It's a problem. And
Mm,
when the practitioners and the advisors and the coaches and the mentors that are trying to help you don't have access to those capabilities where you can bring them in, so you got to fill out 1,000 forms just to get started with them.
right.
We're all familiar with that. It's chaos, and we're a technology advanced society. We've got to be able to do something better here. And that's really what kind of got me into this space. And my background
Okay.
consulting in technology pushed it that way.
So trying to make things simpler so that the people who are on their journey of healing have less stress. The last thing we want to do is add stress to their life, add all these obstacles and discourage them. So I understand that. And I just want to clarify for everyone listening, it is beyond BE space ON, not beyond, like
A little bit of a
BEYOND. I know
play.
they sound a little bit similar, so I just want to clarify for everyone. And I actually want to ask you, Mr. Roncheto, where did that name develop from, and what exactly does that mean to you, and what should it mean to all of us?
Well, for me, it's very simple. The whole aspect and the simplicity of it of being on. You know, I think I look at it from a transformational perspective.
Mm,
And sometimes we want to get after making ourselves better. Sometimes we want to be in the moment and present with what we have. And both of those are good places to be. I think the intentionality behind Beyond is that we're consciously making those decisions and have the tools and the assets and the support that help us go through that. And that's the essence of Beyond. It's there to support you when you need it and out of the way when you don't. So
mm,
being on is this consciousness of how technology can support you rather than take away from you.
okay. And how long have you had this business for?
We launched the business back in April 2023. So I think
Okay.
we've all been through a lot after the pandemic. And I kind of got on the tail end of that, like I was saying, when I got hurt. We
Right.
put the first version out into the market about a year later, so earlier this April. And we're actually launching a version 2 here really soon, which is opening up a lot more tools and capabilities. So this idea that we keep refining it in a way that helps all these different use cases that people might have, because like we said, we're all unique.
Right. Well, first of all, congrats on, well, I guess it's a half a year has passed now since your 1 year anniversary, but not too long ago you had that 1 year anniversary. So that's awesome. And
Thank you.
who should use Beyond and why? What exactly does that process look like?
No, it's a great question. So when we launched it back in April, the platform itself, what we really wanted to do is focus on a few key things. And I think these are fundamentally what make us unique from a technology perspective. There's tens of thousands of apps out there. So how do
Right.
you get through the clutter? And for us, it's almost in the simplicity aspect of it. So
Mm,
one of those for me, and I'm sure we could go down a whole rabbit hole on this, is how we look at data privacy. So
mm,
for us, you go into a practitioner, you're somebody, and all the information you give to them is essentially theirs. You could ask for it, you could fill out probably
right.
paperwork to get it, etc. But they have to control it, manage it, do whatever they want to with it. And you as an individual don't really know where it's at. You don't have control over it, your privacy. And what we did with the platform from an architectural perspective from the ground up is totally flip that on its head.
Okay.
When you start off a session with a coach or a mentor, I almost call it like a transaction. You come into the platform for the first time, and all the data they collected on you is instantly transferred to you. You own it.
Mm,
So the beauty of this is we're looking at it to say, look, you've got practitioners out there that have all this IP, their
right.
knowledge, why you're going to them. And now the ownership, which they own, and now the ownership of your data, which you own, comes together to create information and context to help you move forward. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing here that's different. Like people talk about Web 3.0 and blockchain solving
Right.
privacy. It doesn't change the problem, which is it has to be a conscious effort on a business side to do that. So
Wow.
that was the first part. And I bring that up because for practitioners, that matters from a business perspective, from a risk perspective, what
Right.
they have to manage and control. And so we focused on that with them. The second part of it was for practitioners, and where we got started with this on was around digitalizing their services. You could go out and build a website today, but unless you're
Right.
technically savvy or you want to spend most of your time and energy there, which is not your forte, you're going to struggle. And digitalizing your services as you go from this localized, at home type of experience or in an office, when you go to the internet, you globalize. So instantly everything's accessible to everybody. And so if you don't
Right.
do it the right way, it can cause some massive ramifications for you as a business owner. And so our key here was to help them digitalize their services, but more importantly, not lose themselves when they do it. This every platform out there has got, you can add a web widget here and a widget there, but it's their box. They tell you how many boxes you can have, what can be in those boxes. And what we really started to build with Beyond is the ability to digitalize your value as a practitioner. So everything that you got up in your mind, what you collect data wise, what the flow is of your conversations, how you go through kind of this iterative process with your clients to grow over their journey, we can digitalize all of it and we give you a means of doing that. So that was the
Mm.
second part of it. And then the third part of it for us was really around enabling practitioners to look at technology differently with their clients and doing it in a trusted way. And that is where the two of those things come together, the data privacy and ownership, as well as then I'll say digitalization of the value, like I was saying. And that was where we focused when it. So, back to the part of your original question here, where we started is we're looking to help practitioners, mentors, coaches get into the cloud if they're already in the cloud, rethink about how they're engaging with their clients, and then through that, open it up to their clients. And that was really where we pushed our first step. Last part I'll say is, from a version 2 perspective, we're opening that up more broadly, and we're also opening up capabilities for organizations. So all three of these different, dimensions of the same individual now can play a role in their journey.
Right. And so, first off, I did have a chuckle because I built and run my own website. And I think being a podcaster is one of the most difficult websites to run because you have to update it weekly or however frequently every time you go to an event. So, websites require a lot of maintenance and work. So, you're definitely very true to that. I never realized it until I made one and having two podcasts at release on different days of the week. I've always got to go back and edit it because you never want your website to not be up to date. You never know who's going to look at it. It could be the right person at the right time, and you could have a sloppy website because you got behind, and now it's like, oop, there it is. And plus, I put every guest, all their information, so it's a lot of work. But to clarify for everyone listening, so Beyond isn't where people who want practitioners go to find them. It is a tool for practitioners to better manage their coaching and their workflow and their data storage. Is that correct?
At the present time, yes. We hope as we grow that base of practitioners and coaches and mentors, et cetera, that we'll be able to open it up to flip it the other way. Not to get too much into how AI can help with that, because I
Right.
think there's a dimension of it, but the most important part for us is relationships. So creating those connections with practitioners and advisors. But, we'll flip on that switch, I think, when there's enough momentum going on the practitioner side that then you can come around on the other side as an individual and find somebody to work with.
Perfect. So if I was someone who wanted to find a practitioner, I could go to Beyond and there would be a forum or a list of the different coaches and practitioners, and then maybe even you can tell an AI prompt like what specifically you're looking for, and it can match you with one of those practitioners that's best suited for you.
Exactly. And here's a part that we haven't talked about yet that I love the most. Even without not even not having that today doesn't mean you can't do something about it. So
Right.
version 2 comes out, we're opening it up for individuals to actually engage in the platform directly themselves. You could start a journey. Like, you don't need to begin with a practitioner. You might just say, I got to put something on paper.
Mm.
I want to go explore the world, and I have no idea how to go about that. I just know it's going to cost a lot of money and I got to do a lot of research, whatever the journey
Right.
is. The point being is you could get it started and get yourself all your thoughts down onto paper to the point that then you're ready to engage. And the best part about the platform is you can engage them directly through the platform and say, hey, I already got this journey started. I got all this information in there. Let me share it with you. Drop me your email. You can log in. And because I own the data, I'm, providing access to it. I'm not transferring the data at that point, but I'm able to bring them into a journey. So I think there's an
Mm.
exciting dynamic here about, yes, we hope it'll start from practitioners and bringing it out to their clients. But from the other side, relationships kind of go through these flows and,
Right.
sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. But the point being is, in either case, you're able to manage that as an individual and bring people into it.
Right. And so I know there's the website. Is there a mobile app? And if not, is that something in the works?
Oh, it's definitely in the works. We're mobile ready today, so you could use us on your phone, but I get it. People want to, sometimes quickly get to an app. So
Right.
it is coming. It's not far off. But like I said, we're making sure that you can still access all the capabilities today, even if you're on, a Samsung device or an Apple device. You choose.
Right. Right. Well, and ladies and gentlemen, if making a website isn't hard enough, making a mobile app separate from the website is just as much or more work. So I just want everyone to know that. But that is
I've
awesome.
learned a
But like
lot
you
myself.
said, right.
You
But
talk
like you
about
said,
building this.
yeah, but like you said, it is mobile friendly. If you just go to the internet and go to the website, it will work on your mobile device and it will look clean and you can do everything that you could do on the computer. So that's awesome. And
Exactly.
speaking of computers, I just had to compliment your setup. Are you a gamer? Do you like stream or something? You've got multiple monitors, you've got the wall of the nerd, memorabilia. It looks like you might have some other lives you're living here.
Well, this is my life right now, but behind me here, you've got, four monitors. I went a little bit crazy. But it helps me work. Like I've figured out kind of my workflow and how I keep everything straight so I don't feel like I'm constantly I hate flipping through, one screen.
Right.
So
Yes.
this
Yes.
setup has kind of hit a sweet spot for me. I wouldn't say it's for everybody, but that's definitely for work. And I've got a separate one on the other side here where I'm talking with you. So
Right.
I don't feel like I'm always setting up, shutting down everything.
I know
So
I get that workflow is important and I get the going through all these tabs and stuff. I get that. My former roommate is one step above you actually. It's not a competition, but he had VR and he had multiple screens and he had like he was touching these he looked insane doing it, obviously, because he's just in the middle of the room and he's got the VR headset on and he's shirtless. And but he had all these different he was doing like Iron Man level stuff. He had like 4 or 5 screens and he was interacting it. Like he really put money into it though. I mean, he loved VR. He lived in that world. He was always in the VR world for video games, for work, for everything. And it's interesting to think what the future will be like one day with that. But
Well,
either way,
I agree with you. Like, I don't know if Apple's still doing it, but those Vision Pro demos into an Apple store, man, I was blown away. Like, I've used various VRs, but I'm like, I could totally see this being a game changer. It needs some work, and that's not a diss on,
right.
it, so to say, because it's already pretty crazy. Like, but I'm excited to see where that goes because it's definitely changing the world.
I haven't gotten to try one yet. I will take your recommendation and definitely go try it out. But focusing on mental health, what I think would be great about it is when people say go to your happy place, you can actually go to your happy place. You can sit down and be at the beach one level further than I am right now, with the green screen. You could actually, I don't know how realistic it looks like you said it needs
Oh,
some work, but it's like fully immersed, right?
Oh, 100%. Like good old Apple, they'll sit you down. You got a really comfortable suede seat or leather
Nice.
seat, you
Right.
name it. Like, and the associate's there and she's walking through this demo, but I was like, I just want to do this casually. I mean, I looked weird because I had a VR headset on. She
Right.
didn't, but she was like right next to me while we were on the beach or we were up on the mountains. Like I was fascinated by it. And the other cool thing is I didn't have any wands.
Okay.
So she's like, some people are up here, with their hands grabbing everything. She's like, you can do that. And I was like, no, no, no. I want to chill here, like lay back. Let's talk.
Right.
All you see is my hand right down by my waist, just kind of clicking and moving. And she was like,
Mm.
oh yeah, you could do that too. Like, and she was right. Like, I felt like I was just immersed in both the technology and the conversation with her. which I hadn't felt before with previous VR headsets.
Wow. And so how does that work if there's other people in the room? They just are like the only thing that's not VR'd, I guess. Like you're
Exactly.
wow, that's
Like
the
it's
it's
phenomenal how they're
insane.
blending the two. I mean, I would there was I know we kind of got off track on here, but there is a
Right.
point to why I went to look at the VR is it's amazing. There was another article that they talked with like Tim Cook about 10 years ago. It
Mm,
was the same VR headset took up like a whole like office building or something crazy like that. And you could hear the humming
wow.
of the servers behind it.
Right.
This massive box coming over your head like 10 years ago. Like to
Yeah.
now that it's something you can just hold on your face.
Right. Well, and we're talking right now with my Bluetooth sunglasses for those of you who aren't watching,
Nice.
and it'll get to the point where we can have VR through just like sunglass size things. And then as a nerd, I'm excited for a real life Pokemon. Like if it gets to the point of realistic blending, and obviously they'll get more and more realistic looking things, it'll be bad. People are gonna lose sight of what's real and what's not, unfortunately. And there's so many dangers, but there's so many good things, which we'll get into, like meditation. And a lot of people have trouble actually, you know, quieting out their surroundings. It's like, for example, single or moms who have a bunch of kids running around the house, always loud, and it's can be hard to just like close your eyes and relax. But when you feel like you're somewhere else, I know me personally, I'm excited for some people were going to the bathroom and they're sitting on top of a mountain overlooking everything. It's a feeling, but I think it'll be a good thing for those escapes. And since we're on the topic, Mr. Ronchetto, what do you do in your life to help you de-stress and to heal, especially when you went through those troubling times? Especially, I had an uncle with messed up herniated discs and stuff, and they had to inject fluid into him and everything. He said it was painful, awful experience. One of the worst pains he ever had was having a messed up back. So I can only imagine how stressful that was mentally and physically.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a lot. It forced me to obviously rethink what I was doing from a career perspective. Like I needed to slow down. My body was telling me, look, dude, if you don't do something now, there's only things that are going to get worse.
Right.
And for me, it started, I had to go on this decomp machine. So if you're a James Bond person, you remember Sean Connery like being pulled apart rapidly.
Mm,
A little bit more advanced these days than back then. So it doesn't feel like you're gonna pass out. But I was on that for an extended period of time. I actually still do it now on a regular basis from a maintenance perspective.
okay.
But what I've, to your question is one for me has been, I'll say, just totally disconnecting from technology. And that's hard because I'm trying to build a technology company. I'm
Right,
trying to build
right.
a company. You need social, we're here. But I really try to put my phone down. I call them like digital detox moments. We actually
Mm,
included it in the platform. It's like, yeah, disconnect from us. Like, wait a second, that's kind of counterintuitive. What is a digital detox moment for you versus me? I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can just leave my phone completely off the table. I could put it across the room and not touch it and just be present with my family at the time. And I'm fortunate to be able to do that. But that's a big one for me is, being able to put the phone away. The other one has been to spend time with my family on the weekends after work, just that
right.
ability to see how their day was, watch them grow, because I feel like you sometimes say goodbye as they go to school in the morning and then they come home and you're like, they're a totally different person.
Wow.
So being able to spend those times and those moments with them is a great opportunity for me. And then, of course, time with my wife. She is a blessing. She is my rock. It makes this company possible. So I always thank her as much as I can
Right.
because I would be able to do what I'm doing without her. And so family is really important for me and taking away that moment. And then, like I said, I do maintenance on physical therapy. I try to walk. I'm still working on my journeys. Like there's other things I want to fit into my life.
Right.
But that's partly where I'm trying to use the platform, being realistic with myself. Like I'm consciously making these decisions about what I can actually fit in versus what I can't. And that is making me happier. I think that's important. It's just that I might want to be better, but I'm also understanding of the point I am right now. And I think all these things help for me.
I think that goes back directly to what we started with in the beginning, which was tackling so many projects at once, trying to do everything. And I think a lot of business owners or companies or individual entrepreneurs try to do so much and they lose sight of their mission, trying to branch out to all these other little assets to because they see other people are being successful with it or making money with it, but they end up ultimately taking away from the purpose of what their platform or business was created to do, or it can be a very negative thing as much as it is positive. So I think that's important to focus on. And like you said, the digital detox more than ever. I mean, social media and the speed of technology has given everyone FOMO, fear of missing out,
100%.
unfortunately. And it's hard, but we also have to focus on that. You're afraid of missing out of all this stuff across the world that ultimately is not very relevant to your life. There are people, what you're missing out on is time with your family. Like you said, your family who's right there, your friends who are right there, and you're worried about people across the globe, and you should really focus on what's important to you. There's always going to be social media, right? There's always going to be those funny clips or those advice and stuff, but you only get to see your kids grow up once, like you said, and every day you lose more of that. And so I think that's important that people unplug. And you said something when you said that you can leave your phone on the other side of the room. I said, that's a strong man. Not many people can do that. Everyone always has their phone attached to their hip. And so,
But
it's
but
rough.
think about it for a second. Like, and this isn't like to be a criticism. This is like a digital detox moment for me is that. But I will tell
Right.
you 3 years ago, man, deleting the Outlook app as I was going on paternity leave was near impossible. Like, talk about FOMO related to career, like where they're
Right.
giving you
No, I
time
get
off.
that.
Like, so it has been a massive journey for me. So, like, I think the most important thing about like digital detox moments is finding something you're comfortable with, like if it means just having it on the table next to you, but so the screen is down, I mean, shoot,
Mhm.
that's progress. Like it's just helping yourself get to a point that you're happy with it and you feel in control of it rather than it feeling like it's in control of you.
Right. Well, and there's so much anxiety and paranoia of what if there's this, and that. But, on my previous episode on sleeping, we talked about how people check their phone all throughout the night and then they end up staying up or whatever. And she said, Do you ever see any notifications that needed to be answered immediately at 1 a.m. or whenever it is? No, everything can wait. And I think a lot of people or there's so much happening in the world, anything can happen that people just are constantly waiting for something to happen that's not going to. And so, like you said, most people, if they actually left their phone be for some time, most of them would come back and there wasn't some world-shattering event, If you have some personal stuff going on and you need it, have it, I get it, but most people don't. They just are worried that something's gonna happen and it doesn't. So, like you said, even just putting the screen down can be a good start, or deleting a specific social media app or something on your phone that you just can't seem you're always like, all right, just a few more seconds on it and then I'm done. And then doom scrolling goes on for forever sometimes. And I get what you're saying about the outlook email. A lot of people can't unplug from work and they're like, what if they need me or something important to know? And I think a lot of reassuring people in our lives will say, if they need you, they'll contact you specifically, right? You don't have to worry about what's going on at the company while you're not there, right? They gave you the time off to go take care of it. But I think a lot of us are like, I want to know what's going on at work. I have to know, but we need to learn to unplug and focus on ourselves a little bit. And again, as you said earlier in the episode, it's not selfish to do that.
No, 100%. And I just think it's hard. And I think this is where, especially in the US, we have a totally different relationship, with work, with technology, all of these
Right.
factors. So there's a couple of things, not to go all quantitative on it, but when we look at global wellness in a recent study as of last year, it's like 10% of the world from a career, like a corporate perspective, invest in wellness in
Okay.
some way, shape, or form. So it's not a lot. But the irony is you
No.
start breaking it about down by region, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like the US was like 50%. So we see a lot more of it in
Oh,
our
wow.
office space or our companies than say Europe or even Asia. What's also interesting is the inverse of that is I want to say that personal reflection and what individuals like in Europe, for example, what they go after and what they see, like they actually disconnect.
Right.
It's fascinating, and we
Ride
we
bikes
don't get all
outside.
this. Yeah, like yeah, they're out yeah, outside or drinking some wine or spending time with family or friends. I mean, it's crazy, but they disconnect. And I had a friend who was recently there visiting with his family, and it was fundamentally amazing for him to see that even from a media perspective, when they were talking about everything changing here in the US. He was like, they said it and they moved on to the next thing. Whereas here we'd spend, 2 hours dissecting every
Right.
bird, the way they looked, what clothes they were wearing, you name it. It was crazy.
Right.
And so it's just this totally inverse reaction. We spend more on it within our corporations, but we get less from it. And our relationships with technology and social media and everything is so intense. But when you look at other parts of the world where arguably they do show happiness, so to say, they also spend less time on all of these things.
Right. Well, because they don't have to. So, and it's funny that you mentioned that every time I see social media content from other countries, it's always an American who went there or lives there who is the one filming all of it and stuff. I don't see, I mean, trust me, there are influencers out there from other countries, but there's a lot of just America taking their social media and going to other countries and, interviewing them or doing whatever it is. So, like you said, they spend a lot more time outside and everything, and people don't realize how powerful it is to go outside just for a little bit. And like you said, even just going for a walk. So we really do need to unplug. And a lot of people go outside and then they're on their phone or their laptop outside, which it's better. It is an improvement. It is a step in the right direction, but you should really unplug. I see all these people at these at waterfronts or parks or beaches and they're on their phone. And it's like, I don't know, get a sketchbook or just sit there. It's like
Close your
but we're
eyes.
so Americans in particular, so we can't just sit there. Our minds are just thinking about too much stuff all the time. We can't just relax. So I totally agree with you. And ladies and gentlemen, again, in the description for the episode, we will have the link to the Be On website. So, Mr. Ronchetto, before we close off the episode, is there anything else you wanted to share with us?
I think we hit on it, but I want to close it off with this. Be the best you. And that best of you is what you see it being, not what somebody else is seeing. So I think that's what we should strive for. I'm gracious for the opportunity to talk with you today about all these different facets. And shoot, we could have gone probably 5 hours longer, I'm sure. But I think how we can help use technology to help with that, even though we were talking about digital detox is so important, and how we make you the center of it is critical to your success, and using your relationships to grow as well is important. So thank you for the time to share.
All right, and thank you for everything that you shared. I appreciate it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, in the description below, you can find all the information you need to get in contact. So again, Mr. Ronchetto, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sailing through the ocean blue, nuclear reactors my crew, guiding the ship, the stars as our guide, through the waves we ride, jokes and laughter fill the air. On this voyage we have to share, working together, side by side, as one family we will abide. In the heart of a ship we reside, nuclear operators with pride, powering the vessel with every stride. Our mission, a source of great pride.